All right, welcome back, everybody. Let's get straight into it.
Evening, everybody. You're watching America First. My name is Nicholas J. Fuentes. We have a great show for you tonight. Very excited to be back here with you tonight on Tuesday. We have a lot to talk about tonight, lots to get into. Big show, sort of a sad show. Our featured story tonight, we are talking all about what many are calling the White George Floyd. Huge story out of the United Kingdom. And a very tragic situation.
Yeah, God rest Henry Nowak's soul, man. That is messed up video, bro.
You might actually remember this story because it's not new. In December 2025, there was an 18-year-old British teenager named Henry Nowak who was stabbed to death by a Sikh British person. He's not an immigrant. I suppose he's a British citizen. But he was stabbed to death in cold blood by a Sikh individual from India. And this is actually relatively commonplace. White people are targeted all the time in Europe, the United Kingdom, the United States.
Yeah, in Canada, actually, there was a father in Vancouver that was literally hunted down by two Sikh guys, and they killed him with their ceremonial dagger. A father of two in Vancouver. Just horrible, white father.
But what made this case remarkable is what happened next. 18-year-old teenager, young man, stabbed to death by a Sikh, laying there bleeding out. He calls the police, says, "I've just been stabbed." Police arrive, and instead of arresting the attacker, the murderer, the stabber, they actually arrest the victim. He's there on the street, laying down, bleeding to death, saying, "I've just been stabbed," and the police actually kneel down, handcuff, and begin to arrest him. Why? Well, when police arrived on the scene, they confronted the attacker, and he claimed that he was the victim of racism. He says the teenager that he had just stabbed committed some racist attack against him. Cops took his word for it, and they immediately moved to put him in cuffs, where he then died underneath them.
Yeah, his image where they have his hands in cuffs and the light is shining onto his hands, so you can very clearly see how extremely pale due to the blood loss. His skin was extremely pale due to an immense amount of blood loss. So you know he's bleeding out and he's seconds away basically from death at that point in that photograph.
Well, this is back in the news today because the body cam footage has just been released and it's absolutely vile. There are screenshots going around. The full footage has been going around on social media all day, and it is just the most incomprehensible thing you've ever seen. And the screenshot in particular that's going viral shows his hand, blue and pale and white, because of the blood loss, limp, being held up and put in handcuffs by a female British police officer. He's telling them, "I've been stabbed. I'm dying. Help me." And they tell him, "You'll be all right."
Yeah, he literally says in the video, "I've been stabbed," over and over again. And then the officer goes, "I don't think you have, mate. I don't think you have, mate." Crazy, bro.
Don't believe him. They say, "We don't believe you've been stabbed." He later then dies as they arrest him. And so we'll talk about the story. There's been major backlash against the British police about this, and it's opening up a wider discussion about a two-tier justice system. Of course, you've got one for black people, one for white people. Or I should say, maybe more appropriately, you've got one justice system for white people and one for everybody else.
Yeah, I totally understand the anger of the British people. Listen, I'm mostly Scottish myself, probably like 75, 80%. So I totally see the anger there, and it's totally justified anger. This is completely outrageous. It's almost surreal. How could something like this even happen? It's insane.
If you're a white person, this is how you're treated by the state and by the police. Moreover, if something like this happens to you, there is no outrage. Nobody cares. If you are non-white, however, as we all know, it's a completely different story on both sides of it. You're treated completely differently by the police, and then when these unfortunate things happen, when they happen, if they happen, like in the case of a George Floyd, well, then their community will burn down the whole town. And there's even a bigger conversation. I think even that misses the point A lot of people say this demonstrates there's a two-tier justice system. White people are unfairly discriminated against. White people are treated unfairly. I would say it's even bigger than that. This is an allegory for what is happening in European civilization.
Yeah, I mean, this is about the erasure of white people. Think about what we talk about all the time, like white genocide, getting rid of white people. Well, here you go.
And I said this on Twitter, you just look at the basic details of the case. A young, handsome, ambitious white man is brutally attacked, unprovoked, by a non-white person who should not even be here, by a foreigner.
This guy, too, the Sikh guy who stabbed him, he was known in the local area, and he's on video for road raging at people and pulling out his sword. He literally keeps, like, a sword. I mean, I got my sword next to me. I'm not going to pull it out, but, you know, I'm not like that. I'm not going to show my katana, okay? But he's, like, out in the streets with a katana, bro, with, like, some kind of, like, curved sword, all right? Like, getting ready to, like, assault people with it.
He is stabbed and dealt a mortal blow. Now, in this situation, which sometimes happens, you expect that the state or the government will intervene and arrest the attacker, will arrest the people that are causing the problems. That person should be hanged. That person should be executed. A foreigner killing a native-born teenager in cold blood like that, the government should move in, intervene, and destroy you. But what happens instead is that white agents of the government, the police, they move in actually to apprehend the victim. As the white person is stabbed, unprovoked, bleeding out, it is the government, comprised mostly of his own countrymen, that moves in to arrest and apprehend him. And it is actually that action, it is the arresting of the victim which causes his death. It is the complicity. It is that our fellow white people, particularly those in the state, are accomplices to this. It is that act of arresting us as we try to resist the violence and the chaos that guarantees the death, that guarantees the slow bleeding out and the death of the young white person.
This just guarantees and shows to me that women should not be police officers. I'm sorry, but like this kind of thing, just like how many times do we need to see female police officers screw up over and over again? And in a situation, a man just wouldn't, okay? Like we shouldn't have this in society. There's other jobs.
And included in this, of course, is the allegation of racism. Why does the state move in to apprehend the victim? Because there is this larger story about a racist attack. And I said this on Twitter, is that not what is happening to our civilization? Which is that non-white foreigners are coming here and they are killing us. They are killing our traditions, killing our customs, in many cases killing us. They're killing the identity of our country because they are changing it.
Dude, my timeline, every time I scroll on like Twitter or Instagram or anything, it's literally just filled up with like Indians crashing semi-trucks on the highways, killing like entire families. Like that's the kind of dash cam footage I see on a daily basis. Like it's super common.
And the government, which is supposed to be comprised of native-born people looking out for our interests, instead of apprehending our assailants and attackers, the people inflicting the problems, they arrest the victims of the problems because of this word racism. And it is actually their act of arresting us, which is to say slowing us down, apprehending us, thwarting us. It is this act of preventing us from resisting by the state, which guarantees that we bleed out slowly and die, while the attackers live on. This is the story of what is happening in the Western white world. It's not just about police rules of engagement. It's not just about a two-tier justice department. This is a story that is all too common. This is a story of all of us. Our civilization has been stabbed to death. The government should be preventing this. They're actually guaranteeing that we die because of this word racism.
You know, we were just talking about that drunk driver, that illegal immigrant drunk driver who killed 4 people. I think it was in New Jersey, I believe, or New York State. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But it was 2 black guys and 2 white women. I don't know, you know, we were talking about that or whatever. But there's another like 4 people just dead from an illegal immigrant drunk driver. Like, how many of these times like do we have to see on the news before the entire population just gets completely fatigued?
So we'll talk all about that. We'll get into it. It's just a awful story, and it's just a story that's too common. How many times do you see something exactly like this? Last year, it was Carmelo Anthony. This year, it's Henry Nowak. It was Irina Zarutska. There's too many names like this. And when are white people going to take action against this? So we'll talk all about that. That'll be our main story. We're also going to talk tonight about the war in Iran, if we have time, and I think we will. We were supposed to talk about this last night. There is some major tension. At least that is what they want us to believe. They want us to believe that there is major tension between Trump and Netanyahu over Israel's escalation of their war in Lebanon.
Yeah, this is like the old Biden trick. You know, this is just, oh, you know, I'm beefing with Netanyahu, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and you actually aren't. Okay. Yeah, we've seen this play before.
And the reason I say they want us to believe this is because there is a planted story in Axios yesterday about a purported phone call between Trump and Netanyahu, where Trump expressed his anger and frustration with Netanyahu, saying effectively that was single-handedly ruining diplomacy between Iran and the United States. Now, is that actually true? Does that represent reality? We will talk about that. I'll give you my take on it. I think there are some interesting reasons why the White House wants us to believe this. We'll also talk about some clashes in the Strait of Hormuz today. It's been a very busy week ever since last Monday. Last week, you had a series of tit-for-tat strikes between the United States and Iran in the Persian Gulf. The United States and Iran are targeting each other's commercial vessels, and then when that happens, they each are retaliating. The United States bombing the southern coast of Iran, Iran bombing our allies in the Gulf or attempting to attack our naval ships. Today, there was another major exchange of fire. The United States targeted an Iranian tanker in the Strait. Iran retaliated by bombing the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain. The United States retaliated against that by bombing one of the islands in the Strait of Hormuz. And so while they're talking about diplomacy that is ongoing and Marco Rubio says that a deal is within reach, seems like the ceasefire is barely holding anymore. And so we'll talk about where we are in the conflict. There's some interesting developments. It's a lot of the same. It's very much a part of this pattern that we've seen ever since the ceasefire broke out.
Yeah, just get ready for the perpetual stale war, the forever war against Iran, where normies and NPCs, everyone's going to be very conditioned, and everyone's going to be conditioned to be completely ambivalent, to go, well, we've always been at war against Iran since forever. You know, it's never going to stop. And people are just going to forget about it. You know, maybe that's a kind of blackpilling or whatever. But it's the reality. You know, hope it's not blackpilling.
Which is that Trump will go to the press and talk about this deal, which is apparently always right around the corner. Iran denies it and says that the administration is lying. They don't really even want a deal. And then the Trump administration makes another idle threat. It's another deadline. It's another idle threat. It's another list of maximalist demands. And then the cycle repeats the next day. This is what we've seen for basically the past 8 weeks. So we'll talk about what is different this time. We'll get into it a little bit about the architecture of what a deal might look like and the triangulation of diplomacy between the U.S. and Iran. And we'll just give you a recap of where all of that sits as of today. But it's going to be a good show. Before we get into it, I want to remind you to smash the follow button on Rumble, smash the like button, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the show. Remember to check out our merch store at Fuentes.store. We have our spring collection. White hat. We have the Groyper white hats. We also have the Groyper black hats. You know, we got a little bit of, are you familiar with the terminology? We have the Groyper white helmets and the Groyper black hats. Which hat?
Yeah, the white hat, the black hat hackers, right? I mean, Which are you? Let's be real. I see them on Twitter. My mutuals. Sometimes they get banned for being way too crazy, though.
Are you going to wear? You got the Groyper white hats, and they're out there, very public, very official. They're on CNN. They're talking about whether women should have the right to vote. That's what we call a Groyper white hat. Open, representative. They're on CNN, holding it down for all of us, showing off their hey dudes and their gynecomastia. But you also have the Groyper black hats. These are the guys that are underground. These are the guys that are lurking around in the administration, lurking around in El Segundo, lurking in New York and D.C.
The life of a secret Groyper. I mean, come on.
You kind of need to get the hat that's most appropriate. You also have your Groyper blue hats, Groyper blue helmets as well, international peacekeepers. They're with the UN. That's why Keith Woods, I think, has that one. Agents of the United Nations, agents of peace. They're just out there making sure everybody gets their humanitarian aid. I don't know. I'm trying. We're riffing a little bit. Fuentes.store if you want to support the show.
We love Keith Woods over here. I got his book in the background. You guys know Keith. He's one of the smart cookies out here. He might be a little stale for some people. He's a little quiet, but he's very smart. Go check out Keith Woods.
So check out our subscription website, America First Plus. $15 a month to get access to the entire archive, every episode of the show. Every debate, commentary stream, gaming stream, speech, collaboration, interview, it's all there for the low price of $15 a month. If you want to subscribe for $100 per month, you get access to my group chat and hang out with me. I'm in the group chat giving you bonus content every day. Today, I think I did about 90 minutes of bonus content. I was just in there. The ideas were flowing. The coffee was flowing. I was in my flow state, and I was just dropping a lot of heat today about the CNN interview with those Groypers. I was dropping heat today about the war in Lebanon, about the war in Iran. I was extrapolating a little bit about my tweet about watching fat people eat. I had an experience with this weekend.
Yeah, it is a visceral experience. I mean, I wish fat people would just have like delicate portions. I don't hate all fat people. In fact, I think there's a place for jolly fat people in our society, but disgusting pigs need to be regulated.
So check it out. That's AmericaFirst.plus. What else? Yeah, there's not too much else going on. I'm trying to think if there was anything else major this week. It's been heating up a little bit more, I want to say. There's the Spencer Pratt election in Los Angeles. Very exciting.
Yeah, it looks like that's turning into a runoff between him and Karen Bass, because I was actually just looking at Twitter like a minute ago, and it looks like he's doing very well. So shout out to Spencer Pratt. He was famous on, he went viral the other day on Bill Maher, because he's sitting next to Bill Maher while he's smoking weed. And, Spencer Pratt's like, yeah, you can like keep it as legal here or whatever, but you're not going to smoke in front of playgrounds and your kids like whatsoever in public. That's not going to be a thing. And Bill Maher was like, oh, I guess fair,
I really hope that Spencer Pratt makes the runoff and then becomes the mayor of LA. I love Los Angeles. See, this is the problem. I love these cities. I love LA. I love New York. I love Chicago. But what we really need is a fascist dictator to take over every one of these cities and murder all the criminals. Because these are the greatest cities in the world. They're so rich. They have the best food.
I never let like any political thing like stop me from going to like a city or whatever. Oh, it's a blue city or it's a red city. It's like, I literally don't care. It's just another location. Like if you get caught up on that, I think you're kind of low IQ. Like, oh, I'm not going to go to California. Like cringe, super fucking cringe.
Best amenities, beautiful waterfront. Think about how nice it could be. The problem is all these cities stink like weed, and there's too many homeless people, and there's too much graffiti and too much crime. And so I don't care what they look like. I don't care where they come from, but we basically just need like a fascist dictator to take over every one of these cities and run it like the mafia used to run it. Where are these political machines? Where are these city machines that are just going to run the city with an iron fist? That's what we need. I don't even care if it's corrupt necessarily. I don't care who does it, Democrat, Republican.
Listen, big American cities have always had some level of corruption. If we're just being honest, people are like, oh, well, there's going to be like zero corruption or whatever. It's like, okay, try to root that out completely is going to be near impossible. You have to be realistic about how far we can actually go with these things. But yeah, I mean, we definitely need some kind of right-wing dictatorship to actually clear the way and make things livable once again, because it's people are like, oh, why don't like young people reproduce that much? Why are the birth rates going down? It's like, I don't know, dude, look at the cities. Like the cities are garbage now. It's trash. Who wants to live there?
Please just kill these people, please. Can you just please kill these people? Like seriously. Because you go to Los Angeles, and unless you're in the west side of the city, it's just total anarchy. You go to downtown, you go to the garment district, and it's like zombie land. Please just kill these people, please.
Now, YouTube, we're not serious. We're Catholic. We're Christians over here. We're not about killing people, okay?
I don't care if it's a reality TV star. I don't care if it's some liberal Muslim. I don't even care if it's a Jew like Rahm Emanuel. Just hire 50,000 police and just put them in jail or eliminate them. We do not care at this point. Just get them out of here. Why can't we have a nice country? It's honestly just really sad because these are my favorite places to be. I don't want to live in Des Moines, you guys. I don't want to live in Indianapolis. I have a friend that moved to Des Moines. And unlike me, he is a straight up chud. He has embraced it. He does not care. And he's out there in Iowa and he's like, yeah, it's actually really affordable and really nice. I'm like, but where's the matcha? Where's the coffee shops? Where's the cool stuff?
Yeah, I feel like people that live in a lot of like red states, they don't understand the cities. And it's like, okay, if you lived in the city your entire life, but you are very far right, you understand what I'm talking about. But I just cannot. I grew up in like rural Nova Scotia, all right, in the early years of my life. So people are going to be like, oh, Blasphemer, you never were rural. Yeah, I grew up like as a young child in like giga rural area. And then I moved back to Toronto. So no, if you're far right and from the city, you absolutely know what we're talking about here. We don't want to live in a boring rural place. All right. There's nothing happening.
Where are the amenities? Where are the jazz clubs? Like, I don't even do these things. I've never even had matcha, but I just want to live in a place that has them. I want to be among them. So we got to fix it up. We got to make it better, you guys. Miami, New York, Chicago, LA, it can be so good, but we just need to put a lot of black people in prison forever. We just have to find a final solution to the homeless problem. I don't know, we need more fuel. Like that's an idea. I don't know what we're going to do with these people, but they just can't persist in the public parks. They can't be on the sidewalks. You kind of just need to round them all up and put them somewhere else.
Dude, I mean, just like LA, Toronto, the city I live in, crazy, insane homeless problem, dude. Like, dude, if you're not in a city where there's an insane homeless problem, you wouldn't understand what it's like. They are everywhere, all right? They got their shopping carts, they got their tents everywhere, they're starting fires, they're defecating, doing drugs everywhere, openly, all the time, fighting, violence. It's just chaos.
I don't know what you're going to do with them. I don't know where you're going to put them. You don't need to go home, but you can't stay here. Put them somewhere else. Put them where it's cold. Let's just have a little survival of the fittest. Send them somewhere cold. Send them to Alaska. Maybe just send them to El Salvador. There's an idea. We got to get them somewhere away from the rest of us. I'm kidding about turning them into fuel. I don't actually think they should be harvested for warmth or electricity, but I do think that they can't be on the streets. So I see the Spencer Pratt situation. It's really exciting. It's really a cause for optimism. I don't know what the outcome will be, but it looks like they will be headed to a runoff. And honestly, that's a white pill. So that's going on. There are some causes for optimism. Hassan Piker is increasingly being attacked and targeted by Finally, some good news.
Bro, that NY Post article about Hassan Piker's gooning is just too funny, dude. And it's pretty decrepit and kind of disturbing at some points. The guy has a real problem when it comes to last gooning, all that kind of stuff.
And if it was doing stuff like this all the time, maybe things could be different. Finally, some good news. Hassan Piker is out there saying, you guys, it is putting me in prison. It banned me from the United Kingdom. I'm like, I know, but it's not all good, dude. I'm like, please stop trying to make me like them. They're deeply problematic. You're just cherry picking. You have all these liberals. They're like, first they banned Hassan Piker. Now the New York Post is exposing that he's a porn addict. They even banned his uncle, Cenk Uygur. He didn't do anything wrong. I'm like, guys, cherry picking. If you only highlight the positive, you can make anybody look awesome. They're doing a lot of fucked up stuff too. So you've got that going on. This is maybe one of the only benefits. I have to say, if they were doing this to all communists and all liberals, maybe a case could be made. But unfortunately, it seems like we don't get enough of that. So there's some white pills here and there. Spencer Pratt is ascending. Hassan Piker is descending. There's some cause for optimism. But anyway, that notwithstanding, I do want to get into our show tonight. We're going to get into our featured story, which is all about this murder of Henry Nowak. It's actually a very tragic story, so we'll be serious about it. And I think I remember this story when it actually broke. This is not a new story. This is a story from December of last year. An 18-year-old British man, white man, by the name of Henry Nowak was brutally stabbed to death by a Sikh Indian. This happened in the United Kingdom. And it was a totally unprovoked murder. I guess the story goes something like this.
And by the way, we say he's an Indian because he is. Both of his parents, neither of them are British. They had him as an anchor baby, okay? So he is Indian.
This young man was walking in public. He passed by this Sikh person. His name is Vikram Digwa. Vikram Digwa. He was walking past this Sikh gentleman, made some offhand remark because the Sikh person was wearing a knife on his person. Apparently, this is part of their religion. This is a religious custom that they carry with them giant ceremonial knives, which, by the way, are banned for everybody else. In the United Kingdom, you can't own a gun, famously, and increasingly, you can't even own a knife, much less brandish one or carry one on your person.
In Canada, it's insane because these Sikh extremists, which they have a separatist thing going on in India where they're extremely violent against the Indian government, they are organizing and training with fully automatic weapons and explosives in Canada, protected inside of their Gurdwara temples. And they're showing off like AK-47s on social media. All the while, the average Canadian is every day creeping towards having every single firearm confiscated from them.
But for some reason, Sikhs are exempted from this because these are ceremonial knives. Okay, well, I'm going to carry a gun. That's my ceremonial gun. Is that okay? This is my ceremonial AR-15.
Sikhs actually do that in India. You'll see them in the places where they're the majority. They will have rifles, like usually a lot of old school bolt action rifles, but they'll usually have a full length rifle on them. In India, by the way, which has strict gun control.
It's for killing people that try to stab you to death with their ceremonial knives, right? So this young white man is passing by the Sikh who is brandishing a knife and says, "Oh, I hope you're not a bad guy," seeing that you are armed with a deadly weapon. The Sikh says, "Well, I am a bad guy." And the Indian follows him around. They get in a physical altercation. The Sikh attacks him. Young man defends himself. Sikh Indian pulls out a second knife. He's carrying two knives and brutally stabs this guy to death dozens of times. Young man calls the police and says, "I've been stabbed to death. I'm dying." Police arrive, and the young man says, "Look, there's my attacker. Go arrest him." The police interview this Vikram Digwa, and they say, "Hey, what's going on, man? Why'd you stab this gentleman?" Vikram says, I'm actually the victim of a racist attack. Police officers say no more, and they go and arrest the 18-year-old white boy who is bleeding to death on the street from his stab wounds. They pick up his limp, lifeless hand, pale white and blue in the extremities from blood loss, and they put him in handcuffs and arrest him.
Truly just some of the most gruesome, horrifying, gut-wrenching body cam footage. Listen, I watch a lot of body cam footage on my off time on YouTube. That one is just so hard to watch. He's dying before your very eyes. And yeah, people are conspiring against him in his final moments in foreign languages. Crazy.
He dies in their custody. They go to feel a pulse. They look at his eyes. They say he's unresponsive. He's dead. He's dead. Now, the reason this is back in the news is because the body cam footage has just been made public. And so now we finally see it in real life. And the footage is so much worse than the description. To actually see this happening, it's just unthinkable. You fail to understand how it is even possible that something like this could happen. That the police could show up and instead of apprehending the assailant, the attacker, the murderer, who is clearly alive and well and armed, they actually go and arrest the victim who called the police, who is clearly dying and bleeding out from his injuries. And this is a story from the New York Times. This is a summary of it. It says, quote, Henry Nowak, age 18, was stabbed by Vikram Digwa, age 23, in December 2025, after the two men had a brief interaction in Southampton, a city in southern England. Mr. Digwa, who is Sikh and stabbed Mr. Nowak with a religious knife he was carrying, was found guilty of murder and sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 21 years on Monday. Mr. Digwa lied to the police at the scene of the murder repeatedly, falsely claiming that he had been the victim of a racist attack. Police officers arrested and handcuffed Mr. Nowak for about a minute before they realized he was severely injured and began administering first aid. Police body camera footage released on Monday after the sentencing showed Mr. Nowak lying on the ground saying, "I can't breathe," and telling officers repeatedly that he had been stabbed. One police officer can be heard saying, "I don't think you have, mate." So they don't believe him. The Sikh, the Indian, says, I'm the victim of racism. They say no more. We'll arrest him. As they handcuff this person bleeding out on the street, he's saying, I'm dying. I've been stabbed. I can't breathe. They say, yeah, right. We don't believe you. I don't think so, mate. Police officers are white, of course. The case has been increasingly politicized online. Oh, is it? With the right-wing populist lawmaker Nigel Farage claiming the police's initial response was evidence of anti-white prejudice. He encouraged his social media followers on Tuesday to respond with pure cold rage. Elon Musk has posted multiple times in recent weeks about the case. After Mr. Digwa's sentencing on Monday, Mark Nowak, his father, Henry Nowak's father, said in a statement outside the court that his son had not died with dignity and criticized the police for the way they treated him. But he added that the family does not want his death to be used to create further division, hatred, or tension. And this is the story of our civilization. Why are these people here? Why are these animals living in our country with their ceremonial knives?
It sounds like from the actual attack that he was acting like a vicious animal, that this guy's completely insane, like off the rocker.
Their rape gangs, their grooming gangs, their headdresses and turbans. Why are these people here? Whose idea was it to bring them here? Why are they in our countries? Why do you have Sikh Indians and Hindus and Muslims? What is the purpose of this? Why do we have Indians and Pakistanis and Afghans and Arabs living in England, living in Scotland, living in Wales, living in Ireland? Why? What good is that doing anybody? They don't belong here to begin with. Nobody wants them there. They don't belong there. They're not a part of that civilization. When I think of England, I think of Lord Nelson. I think of King Edward. I think of, as a matter of fact, George Washington. I think of the Magna Carta. I think of all these things. I don't think about smelly Indians. I don't think about Sikhs with ceremonial knives and turbans. I don't think about Africans. Why are they there to begin with?
Yeah, it's like one obvious answer. They are there to replace the white population. We are here in Canada right now. Whites are actively and quickly becoming a minority population.
You add to this the idea that apparently in the future, England is going to become majority non-white. It's going to be actually the majority of people living there will be from the Caribbean or will be from South Asia. The majority of people residing in England will be Jamaican or will be these former African slaves from British colonies, will be from the Indian subcontinent.
It's crazy the amount of like Jamaican influence on British culture these days. And it's just like, if you're actually white and you're British, you know what I'm talking about, how there's more Jamaicans in England than there are in Jamaica. Listen, I've been to Jamaica and it's like poverty stricken, all right? It's like not a nice place whatsoever.
Add to that, they are causing all of these problems. Grooming gangs, stabbings and slashings and murders like this. Why have these people not been chased out of the country at the end of the barrel of a rifle? It's already bad enough that they are here. You are aliens. You are foreigners. You do not belong there. It's not your home. You are not indigenous. You are not a part of that social, cultural, ethnic fabric. You should be grateful. You should be on your best behavior that these white people have been stupid or gracious enough to allow you to live in their first-rate, first-world civilization that has riches and prosperity and equality and law and order and tolerance. But then these people are parasites. Predators. They're creating all the problems, raping the young girls, murdering the young men, everywhere and at every opportunity, insisting upon their own culture, insisting upon their own identity to the detriment and at the exclusion of the native people.
Yeah, and they wonder why in these former British colonies or in Britain itself, why they have such bad military recruiting problems, how it's almost impossible to get like a young white man to sign up for the military. Well, think about this. What am I supposed to fight for if I am British, Canadian, German, like whatever? If I'm from one of these countries, American even to this point, what am I supposed to fight for? A transnational economic zone? That's not what I'm fighting for. Absolutely not.
Why are they not being chased out at the end of the barrel of a gun into the English Channel, into the North Sea? Why are they not being forced out? Not only are they not being forced out, but this is what we hear from the government. This is actually what we hear from the right wing, from the opposition.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, you can row your boat across the Mediterranean back to where you came from, bro.
Party in the British government. The head of the Conservative Party says it's a horrible tragedy, but let's not make it about race. Let's not make it about ethnicity. Of course it's about race. Of course it's about ethnicity. Why did this happen? This happened because you have people running around the United Kingdom carrying knives. That's why this happened. And let's be very clear. Even to talk about this incident in and of itself is starting in the middle of the story. Let's start at the beginning. In the United Kingdom, it is illegal to possess a firearm to defend yourself. So you have these sword and knife attacks. But it gets better.
I know, like, they never changed, bro. Like, that's what's so crazy about modern England is that it's literally medieval combat on the streets. Like, Britain literally hasn't changed, bro.
For white people, under no circumstances can you arm yourselves, even with swords and knives, to defend yourself. But there is an exception for everybody else. If you're a foreigner, well, you get to carry what would otherwise be an illegal weapon, what would otherwise be an illegal knife, because of religious purposes. So it is out of tolerance. It is already a double standard that you've got the native people who are disarmed, unable to protect themselves, unable to defend themselves. They have been made helpless by their own government. Let's be very clear about that. The government, which has a monopoly on the legitimate use of force, the government, which has all the guns, has told its own indigenous people, you are not allowed to arm yourself. You are not allowed to defend yourself. But the foreigners, well, they get to be armed. The foreigners who have their own gangs, who are a criminal population, or even the law-abiding ones, they'll have religious carve-outs. They can't arm themselves. Already puts us at a disadvantage. It's systemic. It's structural. The game was rigged from the very beginning. You are going out as a white person already, and it's even true in the United States.
Yeah, it's true here in Canada, dude. There was a Toronto gangster, these two black guys. They spotted each other on the highway, chased each other around the city. This happened a few years ago. Chased each other around the city, shot at each other multiple times over the day. One ended up killing the other in like the middle of an intersection, and then the judge totally let off the other guy and was like, well, I would have like otherwise convicted this guy, but he comes from a harsh environment, the ghetto is rough down on Jane and Finch, so he could carry a gun, and like he got away with it. Insane. Every other person who would be involved in something like that would be like first degree murder charges, and you get like 25 to life.
You go out in Chicago with a gun, where's your concealed carry license? Did you take the training? Did you take the course? Do you have your license in order? Are you carrying properly? Is the gun registered to you? So on and so forth. If you're some black gangbanger, you think they're carrying a concealed carry license? Of course not. You get caught with a gun without your paperwork, it's over. They get caught with a gun, it's a no cash bail situation. Good luck ever finding them. And they got a bump stock, and it's practically an Uzi or something. Same thing in the United Kingdom. You can't carry a knife. You can't carry a gun. You are effectively a ward of the state. You are a slave. You cannot defend yourself. The other people can.
Yeah, and I can totally vouch for this. The protocols you have to go through as a gun owner in one of these jurisdictions, like I've gone through, like all the whole process, like gotten licensed and all that. Dude, it is crazy amount of hoops. It is actually like a lot of tests, background checks, interviews with people like, your family and friends and stuff like that. Like, it's a lot. Like, these people, like, they don't have to go through any of that, dude.
Young man is preyed upon, murdered with a knife. Police are called. They see one person bleeding out on the ground. They see another person standing in the doorway. He claims racism. They arrest the person that's bleeding out without tending to him. And why do you think that is? It's because just in the same way that non-whites are allowed to carry a knife out of some sense of religious tolerance, which effectively makes white people helpless, it's the same story with these political attitudes and with the law. Law enforcement in the United Kingdom is more preoccupied as a rule with discrimination, hate speech, racism, than they are with gangs, grooming gangs, knife crime. Tell me I'm wrong. You've got an epidemic in certain neighborhoods in the United Kingdom of migrant rape.
I follow a few channels that specifically just cover crime in the UK, and it is atrocious. And you see it because it's CCTV cameras everywhere. It gets caught, and these people brag about it. They're like, they kill somebody, they stab a teenager at a McDonald's, and then they get on a drill song and dance and sing about it. It's crazy, or rap about it, I guess. It's not really singing.
Violent attacks using swords and knives. But with regularity, there are videos that go viral on social media of people being arrested for saying "nigger" on the internet. So tell me that is not a rule. Tell me that is not how society operates there. Police arrive on the scene. They are called by the victim, responding to a call about a knife attack. And their concern, first and foremost, is whether the foreigner that is already armed with a knife has been a victim of racist abuse. What does that mean? Who even knows? Was a racial slur uttered in the public space? Was he a victim of a microaggression? Was he assaulted? Who even knows? And the white person is bleeding out on the street. It's a female cop. It's actually white people that take his lifeless hands and handcuff them, effectively guaranteeing that he bleeds out. Now, who knows if he would have had a chance to live if maybe there was an ambulance, maybe if they tended to him sooner. Who knows if he would have had a fighting chance even to survive his wounds, but he definitely didn't have a chance once they put him in handcuffs.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, and I hope as far as you guys are concerned, these cops are completely complicit in this. How do you not have responsibility? How do you sleep at night if you do something like this? It's absolutely crazy.
And this is the story of our civilization. It has every element in it, which is one, these people do not belong here. Let's just say that much. If this Vikram Digwa was never in the United Kingdom, Henry Nowak would be alive. Your handsome, successful, ambitious, white son, all your hopes and dreams, he would still be alive if the Indian wasn't there. The Indian's right to take advantage of our society that we've built takes precedence over the well-being and safety of your flesh and blood children. That's for openers. So you have these people here. They happen to be problematic because they are from the third world. They did not undergo an enlightenment. Their civilization was never baptized by Christianity. They did not undergo all of the things that we have as a civilization that has made us actually a peaceful, humanitarian, tolerant, benevolent civilization. So we are bringing them here, and it's not a fair fight.
You know, you think about it, the average villager in India has completely skipped the Industrial Revolution, gone completely into the digital era, when previously all they knew in life was agriculture. Like, that is an insane jump to make, and that's what they're trying to do over there in India, and it's got dire consequences.
These are people that are fighting each other in the slums of Mumbai. These are people that are fighting warlords in Mogadishu.
And I've said this before, but the old strange gods of India, dude, what kind of demons are you worshiping out there? That is some ancient stuff that I feel like we don't even know the full truth of what they believe over there, their deities, all this monkey god shit. It's just strange, weird. Get it out of here.
These are people that are conscripted as child soldiers throughout Africa and the Middle East to fight and kill on the basis of religious fanaticism. And they're being brought into our civilization where we've had the Magna Carta for 1,000 years. We've had the Peace of Westphalia for half of a millennium. It's not even fair. We bring these people here with their knives and their regressive attitudes and their violence and all their problems, and they're visiting the problems upon us. Now, that's not even the worst of it. This is what you need to understand. It's not that we have the problem. Because let me tell you about an alternative timeline. There's an alternate timeline where white people have pride in themselves, in their heritage, in their civilization, in their customs, and their identity and their culture binds them together. And if our people, if our home is under attack by aliens and outsiders, this has happened throughout time, and it will always happen. And the normal course of things is that the indigenous native people will bind together and they will utterly annihilate the threat. If our daughters are being raped by gangs of aliens, if our sons are being stabbed to death and beaten by aliens, then the elders and the fighting age population and the young people will volunteer to kill those people.
Yeah, there's a real threat going on with these Indian gangs. There's a big story in Canada recently, but also in the United States. It's cross borders, guys, where there are these Indian and Sikh gangs that are training with guns, fully automatic weapons. They're basically forming militias. Now, you may ask, why are they doing this? Fill in the gaps, right? What's going on with white genocide?
To kill them, or at the minimum, imprison them, deport them, but as a matter of fact, to remove the threat from society. That is healthy. That is normal. And don't think that this is some kind of unhinged call to violence. We did not start this. This is being visited upon us in our homes. This is our home, our ancestral homeland. This is our place. These people come here, they rape and kill our children. In the normal course of events, the government, which is solely responsible for organized violence, would get the police or get the military or the Minutemen, the militia. They would conscript the people to solve the problem. That is actually the real issue here. So an alien is inside your country, kills one of the native people. Unfortunately, it happens all too often. The police are summoned. They are supposed to arrest the murderer. They're supposed to arrest the attacker. But what happens? It's actually in the middle of the story where you have the problem. They go and arrest the lifeless body of the native person who has been stabbed to death because they hate their own people. Because society has been conditioned to believe that we are the problem. Society has conditioned itself, its own members, its own constituents to hate themselves and believe that they are the problem. That xenophobic attitudes, exclusionary attitudes are worse than actual violence, are worse than actually losing our civilization, our territory, our lives, opportunities.
I mean, these are the people that if you were being transphobic or you misgendered somebody, they would have no problem sending guys with guns to be violent with you and throw you in a cage. All right? Like, these are the kind of insane people that should not be anywhere near power.
Our power, that's actually the real problem. What's more, these attitudes exist. Liberal attitudes have always existed towards outsiders. But this is now the governing ideology. It is being enforced at gunpoint. So not only are the outsiders not being taken care of, not only are the hostile invading outsiders not being held accountable or penalized for this behavior, it's being protected. Actually, the government is working on behalf of the attackers to make sure they're more successful in their attacks. If you resist hostile attacks by outsiders, the government is deployed to render you helpless, to make sure that you cannot resist, to guarantee that you die a slow and painful death. Female cops, white cops are there to show up and make sure that you die, to make sure that your attackers are successful, because they are more concerned with the comfort of aliens than the survival and well-being of the natives.
Yeah, it's like, for instance, the medically assisted dying debate that's going on in Canada and like a lot of these places, the euthanasia, and who are being targeted. Vast majority of people that are trying to euthanize, all right, it's white people. That's who they're euthanizing.
That's the story of our civilization. That is happening in the United Kingdom. That is happening in Europe. That is happening in Canada, in the United States, in Australia. This is happening all the time. This is the same story as Austin Metcalf, the 18-year-old football player from Texas who was stabbed in the neck with a knife by Carmelo Anthony, which you might remember last year. 18-year-old black student, track student, stabs an 18-year-old white boy in the neck with a knife, and the black community rallies around him, raises $500,000 because they say the white student made some racist remark against him. So the black community decided that he signed his death certificate when he was racist against them.
It's crazy when like you see something like this happen to Henry Nowak, and I see like a lot of British people going off. Anger is very justifiable, but in other places, people aren't even talking about it. It's not even in the media.
This is happening here. It's happening there. This is happening everywhere in the white world. And what it is ultimately is a failure for white people to stand up for their own existence. Do you even care about our civilization, about your own life, about the well-being of your children?
No, the answer is no. I talk to liberals, and a lot of liberals straight up will tell you they do not care about the continuation of white people at all. They would like to see white people just go extinct.
The victim in this case, Henry Nowak, his own father said, yes, it's a tragedy. I don't like the way the police handled it, but I don't want it to be a political thing. I don't want it to create division. Well, we are not creating the division, and you are not creating the division. The division is being created when hostile aliens come here and murder and rape our own people. That's actually the division. That's actually the precipitating action. That's the initiating action in the whole story. What are we to do about this? The reaction to it has been a little bit of a source for optimism. You see that a lot of people have had enough and are outraged by this. It seems that people are slowly waking up to the double standard. And it's interesting what this person actually said. Henry Nowak, as he was bleeding out, said the words, "I can't breathe." And everybody immediately drew the comparison to George Floyd. And think about it. George Floyd was some middle-aged drug addict who got the cops called on him because he was using a fake dollar bill. He died in police custody because he resisted arrest and had in a system.
I like all these years later, no one even disputes any of these facts about George Floyd. And you're like, yeah, I mean, isn't it like a pathetic way to die, to have like cardiac arrest, like OD over, you know, and you got arrested at the time with like a fake dollar bill? It's just so lame. What a like lame way to die.
He said, "I can't breathe." The body cam footage goes viral. Black people burn down the country. And not only do black people burn down the country, but white people don't stop them. White people, the police, the government, they don't stop them. They say, well, black people are justifiably angry. And as a matter of fact, all of white society goes out and is sympathetic to this criminal underclass, sympathetic to the black population, sympathetic to George Floyd posting the black square, standing in solidarity, taking a knee. An 18-year-old white boy is stabbed to death in cold blood. He calls the cops after he was stabbed, not because he was committing a crime. He didn't resist arrest. He was not even in the wrong. Police apprehend him. He truly couldn't breathe because he was stabbed dozens of times by some foreigner. What is the response to this? Are there riots? Is there political outrage? Is there even any attention drawn to this at all? Absolutely not. Is anybody standing in solidarity saying white lives matter? Is anybody burning down the city? Are there protests? Is there even coverage? Absolutely not. Now, I wouldn't advocate for violence. I wouldn't advocate for riots or anything like this, but it goes to show that this is what white people put up with and tolerate at every level, politically, socially, culturally, and in episodes like this. We have effectively lost the will to live. We've lost the will to fight. We've lost the will to defend ourselves. So we have lost the will to live. And white people are retreating and avoiding and running, being chased around our own country, retreating into the suburbs, retreating to different states, retreating to private schools, retreating to gated communities, trying to get away from the problem, trying not to rock the boat, don't want to be politically incorrect, don't want to be perceived as racist, don't want to lose our jobs. People say, think about what's important. Meanwhile, our children inherit a country that is increasingly occupied and colonized by more and more people that hate them and are willing and able to use violence against them.
And isn't there like a deeper tragedy here to just completely forgetting who you are? Like, I think it's completely sad to just go, you know, well, who are we? And like, well, no, white people don't have any culture. I mean, your Prime Minister, Mark Carney of Canada, said this the other day and says, we have no underlying faith. We have essentially no underlying culture or tradition. We're like essentially a blank slate universalism.
This is the state of the Western white world. And the future without white civilization is ugly. It's ugly and it's bleak and it's poor and it is primitive and it is sad. And ultimately, unless white people are willing to fight for a place in this world where we are not being stabbed to death, where police are not arresting us for being stabbed, unless white people are willing to take a stand and fight for space, fight to take up space, fight for power as whites, not just incidentally holding power and being white, but holding power as whites, then we are going to die. And our civilization will be wiped out. And it's as simple as that. History belongs to those that show up and take up space and are willing to die. That's it. They're willing to do it. Blacks are willing to do it. Muslims are willing to do it. Hispanics a little bit less so. These are all people that are willing to show up and fight and die. That's what the Israelis did. The over there, these guys are cowboys. They're over there signing up for the IDF and killing Palestinians. And I'm not saying that's justified.
No, this is a real, actual divide in the Jewish community, though. Not a lot of people talk about, but like early Israeli settlers in the Jewish like community in that world were kind of considered like that's like the Chad thing to do, because you're like a settler, you're going out, you're back to the land, right? Like that kind of thing. You're probably religious. So that was like their like trad thing to do, right? Whereas I think they viewed a lot of like cosmopolitan, Western, liberal, maybe atheistic Jews or just non-practicing, view them as like soy or cuck, or, you know, oh, you're just some academic or you're just some nerd or whatever. Like that's like a real thing in the Jewish world.
But they're willing to go out and fight and do these daring and bold things, sticking up for themselves as a group. They're not afraid of the phrase Jewish power. They want it. They want power. They want power as Jews. They want to use it to help themselves, and they do. And they don't care who stands in their way. They're ruthless. And the same goes for blacks. Blacks are not afraid of the phrase black power. They want power. They want to use power, and they don't like white people, and they don't care if we know it. They do not like white people. They do not trust white people. They don't care if you know, because when they say they don't like you, they mean it. And they will take from you. They will pick on you. They will push you around because they're showing up. They're fighting. They're taking up space. I don't condone that. I don't think that's Christian, but it's what they do. Muslims do the same. They show up as a community. They're pushy, they're bullies, they're obnoxious. They help each other, they take up space, they fight for their religion, which they take seriously. What do white people do? What do white people do other than apologize, bend over backwards to accommodate others, worry about offending other people, worry about whether people feel included, worry about whether people feel tolerated, worrying about the privileges and rights of others? As we shrink, and that is what is happening. We are shrinking in number, shrinking in power, shrinking in territory, and white people couldn't be bothered about it. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but more of this will happen. This will happen more and more, and it's on some level, it's going to have to keep happening before white people realize the peril that we are in. People say, how many more Irina Zarutskas? How many more Austin Metcalfs? How many more Henry Nowaks? The answer is a lot more. A lot more are going to have to die. A lot more are going to die because unfortunately, that is what it takes for white people to see what happens. When are white people willing to vote for even someone like Spencer Pratt, this goofball?
Yeah, like think about your average normie coworker, total NPCs that out there just walking around, probably mouth breathing like crazy, you know, chewing with their mouths open. Those kind of people, right? Like they are going to have to be fatigued to a certain point. It's like, I don't necessarily condone accelerationism or that kind of ideology, but we do have to understand that if we're going to progress, we are going to see more and more things that churn our stomachs and we don't like, and the solutions are going to be hard. And I think people are going to have to wake up to that.
Because their entire city burned down. Because their whole city is occupied by homeless people and criminals. That's what it takes even to get that much. What does it take in a city like Chicago? Apparently, like, there's nothing that can be done. This city was hell on earth. It keeps getting worse. So unfortunately, there needs to be this bottoming out. You almost need to hit rock bottom before we bounce back. You almost need to go to hell. You almost need to descend into hell and see how bad it can get before white people get the consciousness and the wherewithal to see what we've lost and that it is worth fighting for. Right now, we just simply have too much to lose at this point in time, and people are clinging to it and hanging on, and they're coping, and they're thinking, you know, if I could just take care of my own situation and good luck to everybody else, maybe I'll be okay. It's not so bad yet. They don't realize it's all or nothing. We're either going to hang together, we're all going to be hanged separately by blacks, by non-whites, by Jews. It's as simple as that. So it's a horrible situation, unfortunately, all too common. This is just the story of white people. And here's the thing. I also want to say this. We cannot let this become the symbol of who we are. I see this all the time. There was this summit this past weekend in Portugal. It was called the Remigration Summit, and they brought all the European activists together from all the different European countries to talk about remigration, which is these massive deportations of third worlders that have come here by legal and non-legal means.
And I hope, honestly, Europe finds a solution there. And, the young people are waking up. They're not as liberal. They're not as open borders as the previous generations of Europeans, So just talking to the European youth out there, you understand that they are going to take power, and they actually might have a chance at remigration, at mass deportations, because let's be real, like Europe is very efficient. It's very organized. When they set their minds to something, they can do it very, very well. So all the best of luck to Europe, to be honest.
Regular and irregular migration is what they call it. And it was a great conference, great event. A lot of people there I really admire. Dries van Langenhoven, who's just unbelievably courageous and remarkable. And Afonso Gonzalez done a great job putting these things together. And Martin Sellner's a big fighter. Keith Woods was in attendance, who I love. He's my best friend of all time, whatever. Okay, so they bring all these people together. However, they're doing this conference, and it's almost like the whole conference is just torture porn. So much of the conference is dedicated to white people talking about how they're being raped, white people talking about how they're being murdered, white people talking about how they're the victims. And I really believe there's a huge psychological problem with white people always looking into the face of this white defeat, looking into the face of white people being maimed and killed and wounded. I understand we need to broadcast these things. We need to get the word out. There's some value in that. But I also do believe that white people, in order to take our country back, we need to start seeing ourselves as strong. We need to start seeing ourselves as being able to do something about this. It can't always be about we're going extinct, we're being killed, we are victims. We just need to stick up for ourselves. We need to tap into a larger story. This is why I always like to say we need to think of ourselves as champions. We need to think of ourselves as conquerors and heroes.
I keep talking about, you should read about the great men of history, and you should yearn to style yourself in their fashion. Like, for instance, become like obsessed with somebody that was cool. All right. There's no shame in that, in being like a total Caesar head or knowing everything about Napoleon. Sure, whatever, it's nerdy, but you should strive to know about these great men and our civilization and actually look to emulate a lot of their characteristics and their deeds, because it's already been written. A lot of this stuff, a lot of like the great things that have happened already. Our civilization has been some of the most productive human beings of all time. So I totally tell people, just go and read about these great people in our civilization, and hopefully you'll find some inspiration and maybe some guidance and pathways to know where you should put your energy and efforts.
Talk about, for example, the situation in Venezuela. I say this is something that gets white people excited. Yes. Let's invade other countries. Let's invade Venezuela and send these people back. Let's increase our power. Lie, cheat, do whatever is necessary to get in a position of power and then wield it ruthlessly. We don't need permission. We don't need to broadcast all our plans. We don't need to fight with honor. We need to win at any cost. I see this is a big deficit among white people. It is actually one of our deep character flaws, is white people as a race are preoccupied with this sense of justice and this sense of honor. And honestly, I think in a big way that's holding us back. We have this sense of we need to stand and face the challenge valiantly, and even if we lose, and you want to say even if we lose, no, losing is not an option. How about we rise and kill them first, metaphorically? Our enemy wants to kill us. How about we rise and kill them first? Let them cope. Let them be the victims crying over their dead loved ones, instead of us for once. preoccupied with the sense of honor and justice and honesty. Oh, our victims, we need to set this right. Set this right. How about increase our power? How about do what is best for us?
Yeah, I think people are just sick of losing all the time and getting like the worst examples possible. I don't think you can really blame people for feeling this kind of way when you're on the receiving end of nothing but strife.
Not what is right, not making this moral case. We are victims. They have been improper. They have treated us badly. How about their increase is our loss? We have to increase at any cost, win at any cost. Not let's try and let's put our ragtag thing together and let's raise money and let's do this. Let's do this petition. And then the European government will have to talk to us. They'll have to. They can't ignore it. This is their latest, greatest idea. And look, I like these guys. I respect these guys. I don't have a problem with them. I'm not trying to create a problem. But I saw our Remigration Summit, which is the best that we have. These are all the dissident right people in Europe that want to send these people back. Their latest, greatest idea to solve the problem is we're going to get a petition together. And the petition says, we need to protect white people. And they say if we get 1 million signatures on our little petition, then the European Commission from the EU has to have a meeting with us to address it. And this is the state of white people, okay? Muslims form gangs. Blacks form gangs. Pakistanis form gangs. And then they kill people, and then they rape people, and then they work to cover up the rapes, and they're bullies, and they're terrorists. And they are violent, and they are intimidating. And what do white people do? They hold candlelit vigils, and they pass around a petition where you sign it in the hopes that some white bureaucrat is going to tell you, fuck you to your face. All right, white people, email the petition to your friends and family. We're not going to be killed anymore because we want the European Commission to have to say it to our faces. If this petition gets 1 million signatures, then by law, they have to meet with us. And we're going to go to that meeting and they're going to tell us, fuck you to our faces. And then we'll know they're really corrupt. And it's like, what? Petition? Then they'll hold a meeting with us? A meeting?
It's like, no, you need to take the power of the state. You need to win. You need to have power, and you need to wield it against your enemies and your adversaries, those who wish to do you harm. Like, I don't know, like, this isn't rocket science, guys.
A meeting? Black people burned down Minneapolis. They had us defunding the police. They abolished the police. They're out there murdering and raping and pillaging, and you're passing around a petition in the hopes that some race traitor accomplice to our own genocide is going to chortle and laugh in your face. They are going to say, oh, here come the remigration activists. Get a load of this. You're going to come in the meeting. They are going to patronize you, laugh in your face, and that's it. No, white people, this is what white people need to do. Let me be very explicit. People say, so what's the solution? Let me tell you the solution. We do not support terrorism, acts of violence. I say this because if I encourage this, I will go to jail. Okay? So I am not in favor of terrorism. I'm not in favor of murder, violence, anything like this. This is how you need to protect yourself. Power comes in many different forms. And what you need to realize is you are on your own. The police are not looking out for you. They were not looking out for us when the COVID lockdown happened. They were there holding you down and forcing you to get the vaccine. They're not looking out for you during BLM. Black people were destroying your storefront and chasing you around and killing you, and police were standing off to the side. So
and it's just this kind of thing where white people do have this kind of attitude where it's like, well, the police won't screw me over. The police aren't here to hurt me. And it's like, that is a kind of attitude that is naive and stupid. And that kind of attitude needs to go away.
Trump, for that matter. So you need to understand no one is coming to save you. No one is looking out for you. There is no justice here. There is no propriety. The government will not use lawful force to protect you. So what does that mean? It means you need to protect yourself. But you are an individual. There's only so much you can do as an individual, and you should do it. If you're a man, get a gun. become proficient in firearms training, get a gun and learn how to protect yourself. If it's legal in your state, carry a gun. But you need to learn about the rules of firearms because you can't be a cowboy. You need to understand also it cuts both ways. Some people think the solution is I'm going to get a gun and I'm going to carry a gun. And then you know what happens? They get in an altercation, they whip out the gun, and they go to jail forever.
I mean, look at Chud the Builder. Perfect example right there is Chud the Builder, right? We're pro free speech over here, but you know, in a case like that, it's hard not to look at it and go, you know what? Exactly what Nick says. The knife cuts both ways.
They go to jail for brandishing the gun. They go to jail because they shoot somebody and, you know, the laws are against them in the state. It's a Daniel Penny situation. It's a Kyle Rittenhouse situation. You don't want that either. So it's a false sense of security, but it's the first step, okay? Don't get carried away. Don't go crazy. We don't want it to be the OK Corral because there's many ways you could be screwed. The police are trying to hurt you in more ways than one, and remember that. Here's the real solution for white people. It's not get a gun necessarily. It's not do these self-protection things. That's the bare minimum. The solution for white people is you need to find a group. And by that, I do not mean, actually, it's the opposite. I do not mean a membership organization. I don't mean sign up for something. Don't put your fucking name on anything. Anything that's asking you for a membership due, $20 to join the club and get your card, get your membership card. I'm not talking about that. No militias, no groups, no chapters, no nothing like that. I'm talking about decentralized, small network of highly trusted people that you know. Don't call it anything. Don't call it a thing. It's not a thing. It's unspoken. But you get together with like-minded people that live in your area, in proximity, share your values, and just start to help each other, especially if you're young. But if you're old too, help each other, make connections in local government, with cops, firefighters, people in the business space. Just start to make friends.
This is called entryism, guys. This is why we're always talking about getting your money up, getting your skills up, networking, these kinds of things. This is what's most beneficial for the movement, for essentially the survival of our people, because it's not going to be through street confrontations, through pushes, like that kind of thing. It's not going to happen like that. All right. It's going to be a silent takeover. All right. Think of yourself as a intelligence agent in a way.
An asset yourself. What can you do for other people? What could you provide in a situation? Do you have a gun? Are you muscular? Do you have a car? Do you know how to drive? Do you have money? Do you have connections? Are you in law enforcement? Things like this. You want to start to get together because this is what they all do. This is really the source of power in the street in a situation like this. The cops are not coming to help you. If you're just calling 911, you're fucked. But if you could call your best buddy, you know, who might be a cop or might be some muscular guy, you know, whatever, that's a different story. They might be able to help you out of a jam. Professionals, accountants, lawyers, business people, we need to start to look out for each other as a true white community. Can white people help each other get a job? Can white people help each other get a lawyer?
Think about the way that help other. We need to start doing stuff like that. When you're in charge of hiring, you should help out white people. That's just what you should do.
Pro bono legal representation. Can white people be there for you if you're in a dangerous situation? You need protection. You need a ride. Your kid's in some bad situation. Do you have connections with a judge in government, something in a school, at a university, at your school board? These are the kinds of connections people need to start to make. And it's very important that you don't call it anything. The second that you call it an organization, the second you put your name on a list, it's RICO, it's the government's coming down on you, the SPLC is coming down on you, whatever. Don't call it anything. Don't give it a name. Don't broadcast it. Don't put it out on Facebook. Hey, everybody, we're doing a meetup of people that are really pissed off and don't know what the hell to do anymore. Like, don't do that.
I think, yeah, social media has rotted a lot of people where they see somebody like Patriot Front and Thomas Rousseau, and they think that's like hardcore political activism. It's like, no, dude, hardcore political activism is called secret rooms, all right? That's where revolutions are actually plotted, all right? Is in secret meetings, all right? Where there are, no devices, like that kinds of things. And I don't know why people really want to have maybe it's to do with fame. I think there is like an element of social media and fame where people find it irresistible. But if you're serious about these kinds of things, you understand, like, why would you be broadcasting all of your political moves? It doesn't make any sense.
But you got to just those that know will know, start to find like-minded people, and we got to just start looking out for each other. It's that simple. We need to start to knit back together a social fabric of people that can look out for each other. Every other community is doing it. They're doing it. They get together and gather on Shabbos, and they're helping each other all the time. Helping each other with connections, with everything. The deals they do for each other, they will not do with Gentiles. Same is true of black people. Black people have aldermen representing them. They have these civic institutions representing them, securing for them they welfare, they benefits, they government, whatever. Muslims are doing it. They all get together at the mosque and they're all helping each other. And they're colonizing local government. We need to do the same. We need to start to concentrate in particular areas and start to look out for each other and be very, very careful. The difference between us and everybody else is they don't want us to organize. Muslims can organize and they could be extremely corrupt. Organize and they are extremely corrupt. Blacks organize and they're extremely corrupt. These black aldermen in Chicago, I mean, it's so degenerate and corrupt, it would make you laugh how absurd it is. And if ever there was some competent attorney general or prosecutor, these people would all be in jail, but that's just it. They get a pass because they're black. White people are handcuffed by the rules. This is the point. You have a problem. White people are under attack, but that's not even really the problem. The real issue is that the solution is illegal. Problems crop up. Issues happen. People fight. The problem is that we are literally being handcuffed so that we cannot resist. And so we need to find ways to step outside of the traditional ways of solving problems. This is why the outfit existed in Chicago for the Italians. This is why the mafia existed. They called it this thing of ours. They didn't say this is the come one, come all. We're going to break the laws and look out for each other and create a parallel government. They didn't say that.
Yeah, like, what does Cosa Nostra actually mean? It just means our thing, right? It's like when you read about, for instance, like the Notre Dame in Italy, Sicily, these guys, they don't ever refer to what they do ever. They never talk about it directly. That's honestly how you have to look at some things in your life. You have to go like I was saying earlier, like, you have to think of like your life almost like, are you going to be an intelligence agent? Who are you? Right? What are you doing? These are maybe more advanced kind of things. It's not for everybody. I think if you're a normie, like, don't worry about it. All right.
But they said, look, we need to look out for each other. Government's not doing it. Somebody's got to look out for us Italians. This is what they did. And they created community power. Don't turn your nose up at community organizing. Don't be too good for that. Us white folk don't do that. Well, we do now. We need to now if we want to survive. As individuals, we are weak. Together, we are strong. This is the first principle of politics. This is the first principle of political organizing, is that in order for you to have a say, in order for you to be protected, you need to have the numbers. You need to have the ranks that you can call upon for whatever it is that an organization needs. Whatever it is, you print a t-shirt, a poster, you make the dinner, you carpool with the people. Maybe the guy knows how to use a gun, maybe whatever it is. White people need to start to look out for each other and need to start to organize politically. When I say get together, I don't mean you go and you hang out over the campfire and shit about politics. I mean, you guys need to be leveling up. This is why I tell the young people, we need to actually acquire power. So that means you and your buddies, when you get together, it's not just shooting the shit, talking about the latest white person to get murdered by a non-white person. You need to be ascending the ladder, getting involved, making money, making as much money as possible, getting into a good school, be the best school you can, becoming a professional.
Hey man, I feel lucky because I do have like people, like friends that are actually orientated towards higher thinking and purposes like we're talking about here. So surround yourself with people that are like-minded. If you are of this kind of ilk, if you are ambitious, do not surround yourself with people that are of low ambition. No, it's pretty obvious. You need to have people around you that match you.
Getting into the best law firm, one of the richest companies. You need to be getting into politics, making political connections. You need them. Everybody needs political connections now. Lawyers become judges. Lawyers become politicians. Lawyers become state reps. They can dispense favors. People with lots of money can buy politicians. People with lots of money can buy races. This is how we need to start to think. So people like to say, we're not going to vote our way out of this. Who said anything about voting? Politics is everything else other than war. People say, there's no political solution. We're never going to vote our way out of this. Well, we're not necessarily going to go guns blazing and fight our way out of it either. What we can do is start to slowly, but consistently and persistently over time, increase the power of our own people.
Yeah, you need to basically create your own secret society. Now, I know it may sound a little bit weird to people, and it's like, I'm not a big Dionysian summer guy, the silk sheets and the wine. No, I'm not talking about that, dude. I'm talking about we need to advance our own agenda and interests, and we need to do it in a much more efficient and effective manner. And that's exactly what he's getting at. How are you going to accomplish that? Well, there are many ways, but when you encounter another white person, help them out, whatever that is.
That is what must be done. As whites, as patriotic white people, at this point, look, I'm a Christian, but it's white people that are under attack. It's not Christians, it's whites. I am a Christian. This informs everything that I do, but let's be honest. It is white countries under attack on the basis that they are white. It is white people under attack on the basis that they are white. And that is the basis upon which we must organize, actually.
Yeah, they don't care if you're Hellenist, agnostic, atheist, Christian, Catholic, Protestant, Baptist, whatever, right? Orthodox, they want to see you crushed.
Whether you're agnostic, pagan, Catholic, they will kill you anyway. Now, I am a Christian. I do believe that Christianity is how we have to organize. It's a big part of it. Catholic Mass is a great place to go and meet like-minded people. But honestly, we need to start thinking more as a group. We need to start thinking more as a tribe because it's a tribal war. So this is the situation. It's so horrendous, but we have to raise the consciousness of our people and start to look out for ourselves, or this is all of our fate. This could be the fate of any one of us. On the subway when you're Daniel Penny. On the football field when your kid is Austin Metcalf. On the subway when your name's Irina Zarutska. When you're walking down the street and your name is Henry Nowak. It could be any one of you. It could be any one of your children. And it's a lose-lose. You cannot defend yourself. And the alternative is you die. Even if you survive, the cops are only going to hold you down in a pool of your own blood and handcuff you so you can't resist. So we need to take matters into our own hands. But do not mistake what I mean by that. I promise you, any kind of violence, it will only backfire.
Yeah, and hatred poisons the vessel that contains it. So do not go out and stew and be like, oh, I'm going to hurt these people or whatever. That's not going to advance our cause. In fact, it's just going to set it back even further. So if you have any sort of thoughts like that, don't do anything like that. And I think that's stupid if you do something like that. If you carry out anything like that, you are not for a movement. And I completely disavow you. I'm pretty sure Nick completely disavows you. So no, we are not about that whatsoever.
That's the nature of it. White person goes out to retaliate for this. The government, which is comprised of accomplices to this, they're going to crack down twice as hard on the white people. And all of the majority of the white people go along with it. So the people that know, the people that are in the know, need to take matters into their own hands by playing the long game and being very strategic and very tactical. We're not talking about, look, how many non-white people are there in the country? How many non-white people are there in Europe? The only way that we're going to win this situation is by taking government power, ultimately by controlling the powerful institutions. That's the only way we're going to mobilize the kind of manpower and force that is necessary to separate from these people. It's the only way.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, they hear that and they go, well, that's too much work, Nick. That's going to take too much time. And it's like, yeah, I'm sorry, but that's the truth. That's the actual real answer of how we're going to fix things. And I think if you're lollygagging on other things, you're not actually serious.
It's not going to happen spontaneously. It's not going to happen voluntarily. It's not going to happen with the few cowboys or terrorists or whatever. And I think that's immoral anyway. The only way you're going to be able to mobilize the manpower and resources necessary is through the political process, taking control of the powerful institutions. You want remigration, you want a national divorce, that's the only way it happens. It's all or nothing. And it can be done. We just have to be smarter. We just have to be smarter, more patient, more prudent. We just have to simply play the game. Sad but true, that's life. You got to play by the rules until you can make the rules. So for now, I'm calling on all the young people. Look at this, could have been any one of you. To all of my handsome young white men out there, God's gift to the world. People are going to say that's gay, but it's just simply true. To all of the handsome white men, the world is our oyster. We are masters of the universe and always have been. We are the geniuses. We are the architects, the innovators, the artists throughout history. Some people don't count me among them. Fine. It's you guys then. Fine. Thank God for you guys. All you young white men out there, it could be any one of you laying dead in the street in a pool of your own blood because some Sikh Indian stabbed you with their ceremonial bullshit. That's why you need to go to college. That's why you need to become a lawyer. That's why you need to become a judge.
Yeah, heck, how are we going to change the law? The law is actually where all of these things begin. Maybe that feels a little Old Testament, but that's like the reality, right? What is the law? What does the book say, right? The criminal code, right? We actually have to get into the places of power where we have influence, where we can actually fix things, because that's like the source code of our society.
So you have control over these situations, so you can become a politician. That's why you need to go to college or become an entrepreneur or learn AI so you become a billionaire and you can fund somebody that can do something about this. That's why you need to become a politician and skilled in rhetoric and make the right connections and become a dark triad sociopath and win the election so that we can do something about this problem, so that we can gang up at a national level. But it's only going to happen if you have the patience and the perseverance and the will and the cleverness to win the game. That's it. No sentimentality, no bravado, no chest thumping, no screaming and yelling is going to do anything for anybody. We have to be smarter than that. We have to be better. And that's all that really anybody could do. And I know that some people don't like that answer. I know that some people find that to be unsatisfying, but that is how it is going to work. And it can happen. It will happen slowly for a long time, and then it will happen very quickly. But that is what we all have to do. And listen, you want it to happen faster? Work harder. You're unsatisfied with the progress? Then work faster. We need billionaires. We need people with hundreds of millions of dollars. We need people that have commercial and private power, that have capital. We need people that have political power.
This is why we often talk about we need industrialists on our side, because it's more than just the capital and the money that they possess. It is the fact that their strategic value. It is what they produce, right? Which makes them valuable. What do they provide? What materials? What services do they provide? Are these essential? That's their real value, not the fact that they have $50 billion in their bank account or their value. That's nice and stuff. But like, what can you control? Are you controlling, for instance, manufacturing of a specific thing that's hyper important. These are the things like, can we get people in control of those sectors of society?
You're unsatisfied with the rate of progress, then you go and do something and fucking win. You're a conscious white person, you're a defender of our civilization, then you need to take matters into your own hands and become as powerful as you can in your own life. Make it inspirational. It's easy, it's foolish, it's simple to go out in some explosion of emotionality, go to a protest and get in a fist fight, grab a gun and do something heinous and vile and sick. That stuff, what does that profit anybody? That's just foolishness. That might be emotionally gratifying in the moment. That might satisfy some longing for revenge. It does not win the battle. We are in a war. We need to win the war. And what wins wars is careful planning, long-term thinking, logistics. When you're in a war, the medic, the chef, the guy that's driving the trucks, all these people are united behind one common purpose in one campaign. And you might think, how is making the beans and toast winning the war? Well, the soldiers need to eat. And people say, how is working in the chocolate factory helping the war? How is working in the factory winning the war? Well, we need tanks and we need planes and we need rations. And everybody has a role to play. Everybody has a part to play. This is about creating a massive organization parallel to but connected to government.
Yeah, it's almost like we need a parallel society, right? It's almost like we need it. And, secret society may not be the best word. Maybe parallel society might be a better term to use, right?
That is able to mobilize the resources and the manpower to achieve this monumental objective, which is to get these people away from us, to get these people that do not like us, that do not care about us, that are not us, the fuck away from us so they can't hurt our children anymore. It's that simple. So don't listen to people that are telling you, hey, there's no political solution. Hey, I'm going to get a gun and I'm going to do this and that. Do not listen to that. There is the war effort. There is the war effort. Everything else is foolishness. So that's how we have to think about it as white people. There's no other way to look at it as far as I'm concerned. Everybody else is ganging up and they fucking hate us, man. These Jews have no love for us. These Muslims have no love for us. These black people, they have no love for us. They are never going to see it the way that we do. And that's okay. I'm not looking to inflict pain on them. I'm not hostile to them. I do not hate them. I love my own people. We need to take matters into our own hands to protect what we love. We alone care enough about ourselves because we are ourselves. We know ourselves. We love ourselves. We are the only ones that are going to adequately look out for our own interests. That's all. Take matters into our own hands. Stop playing the victim and hoping someone else somewhere is going to come and do the right thing. Care less about doing the right thing. Care more about looking out for your interest, not even strictly as an individual, but as part of a family. That is really what we are. An individual can try their luck and they can try to exist in a chaotic world. But if you've got a wife and kids, you can't.
Yeah, this is why we fundamentally have to think on the unit level of the family, right? That's where everything starts, because exactly what Nick's pointing out here, you're just an individual on your own. You can't really affect change, and nor really should you at that level. You need to be part of something bigger.
Realize we are all in this together because your kids are helpless. Your wife is helpless. Our sons and daughters are helpless. They want to play in the park. They have to go to school. They have to take the train to work. They're going to be at university. So we need to create a society that protects them. It is actually a selfless act to look out for our own tribe in a way. So anyway, that's that. We're going to move on. We are out of time. Guys,
like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think in the comment section down below. You know I read it. Peace.